Welcome to episode number 9 of the Making Moves podcast, where we talk relocating and real estate in the Dominican Republic. If you're looking to move to the DR, this podcast is for you. If you're looking to make moves in real estate in the DR, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Josie Sells DR, and it is a beautiful day today in Encuentro. We are actually filming this episode in my backyard, and I am joined by my good friend, Monica Rush. I actually met Monica because we live in the same community, and I would always see her just walking around with her kids. She's like total super mom. And then since then, we've done a few photo shoots together. She's a really talented photographer. We've had a few play dates, and she's just a really knowledgeable person. She's been here a lot longer than I have. So I really wanted to have her on today to sit down and talk about primarily just raising kids here and the quality of life that you can expect when you're raising a family in the Dominican Republic. So, Monica, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just start off by introducing yourself and telling us how and why you ended up in the Dominican Republic 10 years ago?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm Monica Rush. I moved here almost 11 years ago.
Wow.
In May of 2012. And I had recently graduated from university. I studied graphic design. Before that, I also studied tourism. So I was really interested in travel. Mm-hmm. I was always traveling, before and after university, during university. That was definitely on my radar. I wanted to go somewhere, but I didn't want to waste my time and not work in my profession. So I got myself a job working at a small hotel on Kite Beach and came over here, having never been here before. I packed up and moved here for a year-long contract at the hotel. Cool. Which turned into 2 years quickly, and I was actually working there with a good friend of mine. So we had amazing times getting to know Cabarete and just feeling out the place and deciding that we both loved it here. She ended up moving away, and then I decided to stay.
Amazing.
I left the hotel and decided to keep doing my freelance graphic design work. And my sister and I at the same time launched our bikini business.
Yes.
In 2014.
Amazing. And you're originally from?
From BC, Canada.
BC, Canada.
Yeah.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Okay, so Bikini Empire, what made you decide to start a swimwear company with your sister?
Well, it was initially her idea, and I was just going to be helping her with the graphic design side of things,
right.
Logo and whatnot. She wanted to start a brand that was ethically made, sustainably sourced, and of course extremely interesting and fashionable designs and cuts that you couldn't find back then in stores. It was all Billabong and Roxy, if you remember those days of triangle bikinis and tied sides. And the fabric was all horrible. So now there's so many amazing swim brands out there. At the time there was definitely fewer, and we felt like there was a real lack of bikinis, desirable bikinis on the market that were also sustainably made.
Cool.
Yeah, so we initially started producing in Canada too. That was one of our core values, and one of the ways that we were able to produce sustainably was doing it in our backyard.
Amazing.
And having a lot of oversight over it.
Cool.
So since then we've moved our production to Bali, where we have an amazing company there that works with us, and they're again super sustainable, and we use eco-friendly fabrics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're great.
Yes.
Great bikinis and swimwear. Yeah, they're all so different. If you go on your website, there's so many different cuts, so many different varieties. So really good swimwear, guys. And how has photography, because you've done a lot of photo shoots, and I know there's a lot of brands that you work with to do photography, how has that kind of played a role in your life and business in the DR?
Well, for sure, it's even one of the reasons that I kind of dug my roots in a little bit deeper here is it's just so beautiful here.
Yeah.
And being able to step outside with a camera in my hands and go and make a living that way, it's just so beautiful. And I love to be able to capture different corners of this place, and you drive down the road half an hour and it's totally different.
Yes.
You go the other way for an hour and it's totally different. You
Totally.
have cliffs and ocean and mountains and jungle and really cool barrios also, the Dominican Republic is a colorful, beautiful place.
Yes, so
and
diverse.
I feel so lucky to be able to.
So diverse.
Yeah.
You can go surf in the morning, you can go hike in the afternoon. It's there's so many different things you can do. How have you seen the North Coast change since you first got here? You were working on Kite Beach. How have you kind of seen, the infrastructure and development and those sort of things change over the last 11 years?
It's changed a lot. When I first came here, we were experiencing like a bit of a slump.
Okay.
I didn't realize that when I first got here, but the economy was like still slumping after 2008. And, it kind of continued this slight downward trend. And then it did slowly start to pick up again. And then after 2020, it really boomed.
Yeah.
With people moving here, wanting to relocate. It's such a better lifestyle. And yeah, there's some bigger name hotels like right in the center of Cabarete, Lifestyles. The airport has flights coming in all the time from like Europe and Canada, which we also saw decline for a little while, but now it's like going back up again. Like the development has been actually fairly steady, and in the last couple of years is definitely spiked.
Boomed. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we're seeing like record-breaking numbers here right now as far as tourists, and yeah, pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and I want to talk about this because you're actually building a house across the street from me, which is so cool. What is it like for somebody who knows nothing about, buying land, like the whole process of buying land and building a house from the ground up? What would your advice be to somebody who wants to do that? Like, how easy is that process? Or what does the process look like?
Buying the land was very easy.
Yeah.
Super easy as a foreigner. You don't need to like marry a local or something like that, like you would in Mexico, for example. Yeah, so you can come as a foreigner and invest in property or homes really, really, really easily. And there's tons of nice people that can help you with that. So far, for the actual building process, we worked with an architect, which was also great. We chose from a variety of architects that were available, and the person that we chose to work with was like really knowledgeable, really helpful. He gave us a lot of his own opinions, but wasn't like pushing them.
Yeah.
He heard what we had to say as well. Now we're in the phase of like getting our permits.
Yeah.
Which is taking a little while.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that it's surpassed our expectations. Our expectations were like really broad.
Yeah.
We're like, how long are the permits going to take? We don't know exactly. Like it could take 2 months, it could take a year. So myself and my partners were all like aware of that, and we had like a lot of patience for that set aside.
Right.
So because we're building more than one unit, we're getting condo titles, so that each
so you
unit
need
will
more
have
titles.
its own title, and like whoever has that unit can sell it if they want.
Right.
So that was like a big thing for us that we wanted to go through, and so because we're getting condo titles, it does take longer because you have to apply for like 2 or 3 more permits than you have to apply for if you're just getting a house.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so let's talk about raising kids here. I think one thing that's really cool that I've noticed about moving here is that when you meet other moms here, you instantly have this like connection, because it's like, we're both here. We both came from other parts of the world. We're both here to, raise our family and kind of give them a different quality of life. So one thing I've noticed is that every mom I've met here, we kind of just like instantly have something in common to bond over. But I feel like when I came here, a lot of people were like, what? Like, you're moving to like this third world country? It's not a third world country. Like, is it safe? Like, are your kids gonna get a good education? Blah, blah, blah. People have all these concerns. And so I kind of want to talk about what it's been like for you, because you actually, first I want to talk about what it was like having babies here, like actually giving birth in this country. What was that like?
I can't believe I did it twice.
Yeah.
No, it actually all worked out really well in the end. I had some really amazing friends that kind of like went through it right before I did.
Right.
And our whole goal like was to have a natural birth instead of having a scheduled C-section.
Yes.
So that's like a thing here that they do a lot of scheduled C-sections here.
It is.
So if you want to have a natural birth, you just have to kind of like make your plan, find your doctor or your doula or your midwife who's going to help you realize that plan, and you go through that. Like, and you have your plan B a backup or an emergency plan.
Right. So you had a hospital birth.
Yeah, so my plan A was to have a home birth for both of them. And I went for all my, scheduled checkups and ultrasounds. And both of the babies at the very last minute, the doctors were like, "Oh, your baby's really big. Like, we would recommend that you're in a hospital." So
Okay.
I went to a hospital for both of those births.
Okay.
And it was great.
Great. And
Yeah.
what do you have to pay? Like, did you have insurance?
No, I didn't have insurance.
So what did you have to pay to have a hospital birth here? Do you remember?
I paid around 800 for the first one. 2 years later, it was 1,000.
Wow.
But we also, for the second one, we went to a slightly nicer hospital. And then if you go to like the really nice hospital in Santiago, which is one of the best hospitals like in the world,
Okay.
it's like $1,500.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have your babies in Puerto Plata?
I had
Or
both
would
of them. I had one of them in Rio San Juan.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
And one of them in Nagua.
What?
Yeah.
That's so random.
I know,
Why?
super random. Because the doctor that I found, who was like,
Okay.
he was like an amazing doctor. He is an amazing doctor.
Okay.
Dr. Rosario.
Dr. Rosario?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's like very pro natural birth and
Cool.
just very knowledgeable. I really trusted him. He was at the time working in Rio San Juan, and the second one he was working in.
At a hospital, or was it a clinic, or what was it?
So here they call clinics private hospitals. Private hospitals are clinics.
Okay.
For hospital, it's a public hospital. So, funny story. For my first one, Benji, he was actually born in a public hospital.
Okay.
And it was great.
Okay.
It was totally amazing.
Really?
However, I didn't have any complications. So, but they did have, all of the machines there ready, like totally new looking machines, ready for any kind of complications that might arise.
Did the doctors and nurses speak English?
The doctor did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The nurses, not so much.
Yeah.
And then for my second birth, we went to technically a private hospital, so a clinic. But it wasn't like the most high-end one. Like the one in Santiago, Homes, is like really like a great hospital, great
Okay.
clinic. And the one that we went to in Nagua was where this doctor was working, and he had like his own kind of birth center there.
Okay.
So he had like his nurses and emergency doctors that were all kind of trained and working with him previously and aware of how he liked to work. So we knew we were in good hands.
Good.
Yeah. And I
Amazing.
actually ended up delivering with his wife, who's also OBGYN. Yeah.
What do you mean delivering with her?
Like she was my doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a baby at the same time.
No.
We just held hands and delivered together. Oh, that's awesome.
So she was my doctor in the end.
Cool. Okay. So, what has it been like raising your babies here?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, like the sunshine, the outdoor activities, like our house is constantly open to being able to just run outside.
Yep.
So I have 2 toddlers, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I can't imagine what life would be like
Yeah.
cooped up in a house.
Yeah.
And like relying on my vehicle to go everywhere. Like we walk almost everywhere. Our beach that we go to is like a 10-minute walk away. We have like tons of mom friends and kid friends in the community.
Yep.
And that's the other thing too, is I was really fortunate to like go through like having kids with a group of girls
So
that
many
were
of
like
you.
very close by, and like it kind of brought us all closer, and our kids, are like growing up with these really close friends everywhere.
Yeah.
And Benji comes home from school and he's like, "Oh, like I want to play with this friend today. I want to play with that friend today." And
Aw.
yeah, we're like super fortunate.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think about what they would be doing in Canada right now. I always think about that.
Yeah.
It's like
And
the
then like,
contrast.
we're coming up to like the next phase of like activities after school.
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
gymnastics, soccer, ball, and there's all of that here, like
It's all
5-minute
here.
walk away.
That's right. Yeah, they would literally be inside in a classroom with like 30 other kids all day.
Yeah.
And like, I think in Canada, the average kid gets like 5 minutes of outdoor exposure for 8 months of the year.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's crazy. And
Like,
there's,
I remember it from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like recess was like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
You have to cram a snack in your face and like.
You have to
"Oh,
put
by
on,
the
like,
way, your mom
20
also has to
layers."
pack all of your food for you.
yeah. And you have to put on like 20 layers. And then
Yeah.
I remember literally going outside at recess, and me and all my friends would like huddle
Yeah.
and like use each other's body heat to stay warm at
Survival
recess.
mechanisms.
Yes. Like, it was ridiculous. So I'm so grateful. My kids, like, as soon as they wake up, they are eating like fresh fruit for breakfast from fruit trees in our yard. They go to school, they're barefoot, they come home just covered in dirt all every single day. And then they're outside all night, whether it's at the beach or, in the pool, or my 4-year-old is learning how to surf now. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I have no regrets, no complaints about them being here.
And like, especially with the first one, I was really like green to the whole like mothering experience.
Yeah.
And I just, did what felt the most natural to me and what I felt like he kind of thrived in the most. And so literally every day we would leave the house in the morning and go to the beach for the whole morning, come home, eat some lunch, he'd have his nap, and then like wake up and go somewhere else and do the same thing in the afternoon, like go outside, like, and kids, like, it's like proven, like their development is
many studies.
Yeah, like it grows like exponentially when they're outside, like with natural things, plants, dirt, sand. And so like for sure he was an early walker, he was an early talker, like, because I think we were outside all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
Can you share any challenges you've faced while living here? What has been your biggest challenge? If you have any.
Well, I always tell people it took me like 3 years to get to like climatize.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's not even just about the temperature, like the weather, but also the mentality and the way of life, and just how you organize your day and what your expectations are like. So managing expectations has been like a huge thing here.
Yeah.
And like in the middle of the day when it's like super hot, don't
go for a walk.
Like go for a run. Stay inside, like under a fan, like have a nap, have a nice lunch. Like culturally, what people do here, it makes sense. Like they have literally a 2-hour lunch break every day from 12 until 2.
Right.
Don't go to the bank at that time.
Right.
Don't try and get something done at that time.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's on lunch break.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so just having like expectations or not expectations for some things, I guess.
Yeah, like being able to realize like that reality is like X and your expectations might be Y, and you have to just kind of go with the flow. Like even though you still have your goals and you have like things that you want to get done and ways that you want things to be, you have to be a little bit more relaxed here. Like in Canada and other, the States and whatnot, like you can really like make things happen. And you can make things happen here, but you might want to give yourself a bigger time frame to do things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great advice. And I was also going to ask, what advice would you give somebody who is considering moving here, but is, maybe on the fence about a few things?
I think just do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would find happiness here, like even if they don't think that they would. Yeah. There's just a lot more freedoms here than in other parts of the world. My advice, maybe come and check it out first.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to what your priorities are, right? Like if your priority is to give your kids or your family or yourself a better quality of life where they can just thrive 365 days a year, not just for 3 months a year, then if that's your priority, then this is definitely an amazing place to do that.
I agree. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so if you have been considering moving to the Dominican Republic, we hope that this episode gave you a little more insight, a little more confidence to potentially book the flight and come here. Monica, thank you so much for joining me. You did amazing.
Thank you.
Where can people follow you and your photography business, Bikini Empire? Can you let them know?
BikiniEmpire.ca.
Okay.
And on Instagram, my photography is Monica Rush Photo.
Okay, amazing. I'll put the handles in the YouTube video in the podcast description. Great. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you in next week's episode. Adios.